Hey guys, what's going on? So in this video, I'm going to share with you the exact UGC video brief that we share with our network of creators when creating weekly content for our brands. And I'm going to walk you through step by step what you need to include and what are some of the things that you want to remind the creators so that they are able to create the best quality content possible for your brand. But first, let's address this question whether the agency or you as the brand should be responsible for the creative briefs or the creators should take the responsibility. And my answer has always been yes, the agency or the brand should always have the creative control and simply give the content creators the brief and then ask them to shoot the content following the exact same, following the instructions and procedures. Then here are a couple reasons why I think this worked better. So number one is content creators are creators, which means they are good at filming content, making content, and engaging with their audience. However, they're not necessarily marketers. They're not necessarily good at performance marketing, social media marketing, and plus, they won't know your brand as much as you do. That's why we always prefer bringing the creatives in-house so that we have the control and we understand what will work the best for the content. And number two is we want to make sure the process is very efficient because content creation takes time. But we also at the same time want to deliver the content on time. So the only way that we can do this is we create the briefs inside at our agency, and then we ask the creators to shoot the content within a certain time frame. Because what we found is if we ask the creators to do everything on their end, including writing the creative briefs, doing the scripting, filming the content, and doing the whole A to Z, the timeline will just inevitably drag out to be too long, and that will be very inefficient, and we just aren't able to deliver the content on time for our clients, and we just not going to be able to run successful campaigns. That's why always bringing the most time consuming and time and energy intensive work in-house so that we can have that control. And third is just when you do the creative briefs in-house, you will have a much better idea of what to test, such as the hooks, the CTAs, the different structure of the videos, so that so as a team, you really have a really deep understanding of, okay, what is working, what is not. When you give this creative control to the creators, they won't necessarily look at it as an experiment. They will just create whatever they want. So that's also another very important reason why we always treat creative briefs as the bread and butter of running a success campaign. So with all that out of the way, let's simply go through the UGC template that I have laid out here and what are some of the things that you also want to include in your UGC briefs when you send them out to creators. So first thing first, you want to give creators a certain timeline. So in here, we usually like to do 3 to 5 days within the product delivery. Like again, the time is very important here. We don't want the creators to take forever to shoot the content. So you always want to make sure in your contract that you have a specific clause that says you need to make sure that you can deliver the content within a certain time. This is super important. So you want to remind them again at the top, the first thing when they see this creative brief. So depending on your timeline, you can do a week, 5 days, or even 3 days. So this is something you definitely want to discuss and negotiate with your creators. And next, the most important piece of the video hook. What will be said, what will be shown in the first 3 seconds of every piece of content. So that's why this is also the first thing they will need to read after receiving the content, after receiving the video brief. And the video tonality, so depending on the product, the industry, or the niche, we like to do these different types of adjectives. So for example, you should, if this is for a skincare or beauty brand, you want the creators to be excited, enthusiastic, upbeat, confident, or if this is a product that is geared toward addressing a very specific problem or a pain, then you should be confident and attentive. So really, depending on the product, you want to make sure the tonality matches with the content. And then the lighting, this is super important again. You want to make sure the lighting is perfect. It's you your face or whatever is shown in the content is very well lit. Then let's go down to the general guidelines. So this is really, you can just include this in every brief, just as what we did here. So a couple of things that we always want to remind the creators are: be organic, be yourself, don't sound like a robot, follow the brief, keep the TikTok vibe. So a very key criteria that we look for now in all of our creators is the fact that whether they are organic or not. What we have seen is, because UGC has become more prevalent than ever, so enough audience have seen UGC ads, they can understand whether this is an ad or this is an organic UGC video. So if the creator comes across very robotic or very commercial-like, it's not going to convert well. That's why tonality and just overall asking the creators to be organic, to just think of this as a TikTok video is a very key advice. And also, you want to ask the creators to only film the raw clips so that you're able to leverage those clips and create multiple variations, different versions of the content. So don't need them to edit the videos, just ask them to send you back separate clips in the file. Now, with all that out of the way, we're going to get straight into the script. So now with all that out of the way, we're now getting to the actual script, what they need to say and what they need to shoot in the content. So a couple reminders for them, as always: they don't need to do any editing because they are only shooting the raw clips, the raw footage. The video quality needs to be at least 720p, or usually now we like them to be 1080. And voiceover, again, it just needs to sound more natural, not pretty robotic. And another thing we encourage creators to do is just to go off of script if that makes it sound more natural. And then we will just get into the meat of the creative briefs, which is the action and what they need to say in the script and storyboard. So also here, you want to give creator a high-level idea of what they need to create in the video. So here is usually where we will give a couple of high-level summary of what needs to be addressed and what they need to do in the video. Key talking points. So this is kind of like a extrapolation of what is going to be written here in more details in the script. So you're just going to grab a couple key highlights and put them in here. Then the creators will just look at each clip and follow exactly what is written in for each scene. And you probably noticed that we already have a pretty structured video in place whenever we start a brand new template. That is because this is the UGC framework that we always follow. So what are some of the components that we include? First is definitely the hook. Second, problem, fail solution, intro product, unique selling point, benefits, demo, and CTA. So although we tend to include all these different scenes and clips in the video brief, it doesn't necessarily mean that we always have all of them in each video. For example, sometimes we go straight into intro products because the hook already helped us to highlight the problem and also expose the fail solution. So you can really play around with the different structures and you don't necessarily really need to follow this exactly. So that's basically it in terms of the body, the actual meat of the content. Then we will scroll down to the actual clips. So this is also pretty important because this is where really split testing and testing different variations of videos come from. So typically what we like to do is ask the creator to create another hook or another CTA. for the video. So that will at least guarantee us that we can get 2 or even 3 variations of a one unique piece of content. And you can even ask creators to create a different alternative of the benefit clips or the demo clips. So really, this section is up to you to really do more experiment with the content and to really find out what type of structure, what type of hook or content will work the best with your audience. So I hope this walkthrough was helpful and allow you to kind of understand what exactly goes into a UGC brief. What are some of the things that you need to remind creators, and what are some of the clips, scenes that you need to include? So I will also drop in this template in the description so that you can make a copy and start just using this as your UGC template for your creators as well. Also, give a like to this video if you found this helpful, and follow for more UGC video, TikTok marketing, and TikTok ads content in the future. See you guys next time.